I wake up in an enormous Buddhist temple. I'm standing in the vestibule of what appears to be the main hall. The air is cool and smells of incense. It's dark. The small amount of sunlight coming through the space underneath and between the doors feels like an intrusion into this rarefied place. There are no clocks in here. Two wooden railings separate the vestibule from the main room. Between the railings is an opening, and to either side, people have left their shoes. There are small blue slippers available into which I slip my tube-socked feet. The insides of the slippers are cool on the tops of my toes and the outside edges of my feet. Among all of the slippers, I see a pair of worn brown men's dress shoes, which look vaguely familiar. I'm standing just at the edge of the large rectangle that makes up the main space of the room, at the end of what feels like 2 square miles of deep burgundy carpet. 3 Buddha statues sit at the far end of the room, raised up on platforms, looking over my head, out toward infinity. Not looking, I suppose, but seeing. On the left and on the right are doors into side rooms, each one dedicated to a subsidiary higher being, specialized Buddhas. The Buddha of familiar relations, the Buddha of safe passage, the Buddha of everlasting memory. Other than the statues in front and a few other ancillary statues by their feet and a few pictures on the walls, there's nothing in the room. No material objects, and a deep pile carpet that I'm half sinking into, half floating on top of, slippers that add to the sensation of being immersed into the room, not touching anything, yet deeply embedded into it, almost snuggled into the fabric of it, as if myself, the self, were dissolving right into the universal solvent, pure and clear and odorless and tasteless and invisible and weightless, neither gas nor liquid nor solid, yet all three. As if I were an incense stick, incrementally burning off, first into smoke, and then becoming a part of the room. My thoughts, normally bunched together, wrapped in gauze, insistent, urgent, impatient, one moment to the next, living in what I now realize is, in essence, a constant state of emergency, as if my evolutionary instincts of fight or flight have gone haywire, leading me to spend each morning, noon, and evening in a low-grade but absolutely never-ceasing muted form of panic. Those rushed and ragged thoughts are now falling away, one by one, revealing themselves for what they are, the same thought over and over again. And once revealed for what they are, these hollow thoughts, these imposters, non-thoughts masquerading as thoughts, memes, viruses, signals fired off, white noise generated by my brain, they are gone. And it is quiet. Quiet in a way I have never experienced before. As if quiet were a substance, and it were thick, as if that substance were now in my head, filling it like a viscous fluid, some kind of gel. Desire is suffering. A simple equation and a nice catchphrase. But flipped around, it's more troubling. Suffering is desire. Not a unidirectional arrow, not causal as in desire leads to suffering. Desire is suffering. And therefore, by axiom, suffering is desire. Ding. A bell rings. I look around for the ringer. A nun, a monk, anyone. But no one seems to have rung the bell. It rang itself. Ting, ting, ting. The sound is clarifying, purifying even. It erases every thought from the room, wipes the slate clean. I had been polluting the room with my ideas, and they are all gone. And maybe it's just a rationalization, but for the first time in a while, I'm reminded that I am needed. I have obligations to people, as a son, as a guy who fixes time machines, a guy who gets people out of their bad situations. Even if it seems like a dumb back-office job and I don't get paid well, people are counting on me. Mom and Phil and Tammy and Ed. And if I hadn't gotten a kick in the butt, hadn't run into myself and then shot myself and then opened the book and tried to skip ahead, I might not have ended up here and seen this and realized that in my own way, this is what I was headed for. A life in some dead, quiet, airless construct my dad built, free-floating in space. I was headed for an entire life spent alone, pitying myself for not being more, ignoring all those people who actually ask me to be more because they see it in me. I'm running for a door, any door, the door in the northeast corner to the temple. It's locked. I grab the knob and shake as hard as I can. It feels very wrong to do this in a temple, in a place of silent contemplation, but I think I need to kick the door down. I kick it hard, with the entire bottom of my foot stomping it just below the doorknob. This is no ordinary wooden door. Play by the rules, dummy. Who said that? Ting. Do I have to spell it out for you? Okay, who's messing with me? Ting. Buddha? The Buddha's talking to me? No one is talking to me. I'm talking to myself. I'm not where I think I am. I'm somewhere else. This isn't real, but it isn't fake either. This is not a pleasant universe anymore. Ding. Then I remember. The book is the key. That's what I said to myself. I was giving myself a clue I knew I would need. That's got to be it, right? The book will tell me how to get out of here. I bet there's a secret door. This is so cool. I figured it out. I'm so smart. It's like my very own adventure story. It's even kind of science fictional. The only problem is that the TM-31 is nowhere to be found. I guess I'm not so smart. I'm kind of an idiot. I didn't travel through time to get to this temple. This isn't the past or the future tense. It's the subjunctive. That's why my time machine isn't here. I cut through the altar area, crossing in front of the large Buddhas, knocking over the huge bowl of incense dust, and now a loose canopy of dust is billowing over the room. And I knock over the stand holding the bell, and that releases a piercing super ding that cuts right through my eardrums into the center of my head. In the now ash-darkened room, the haze of incense past literally clouding my vision, I fumble around and try the other door. Locked. It's hard to breathe. I'm coughing. I'm covering my mouth, trying not to suffocate, but this soot is filling my nostrils, my lungs. I don't even want to think about where my fake mom is, somewhere behind me, slow-walking like zombies do in the movies. I try kicking this door, try slamming my body into it. Nothing. Not even the slightest movement. I'm scared. I'm scared in a Buddhist temple, maybe the least scary kind of place imaginable. What am I so scared of? Being trapped here? Wanting to stay here? Nothing? Nothingness? Whatever it is, I need to get out. Okay, think. I am an idiot. This is no ordinary wooden door. This is not a physical door at all. It's metaphysical. This is a time barrier or a logic barrier or some other type of barrier that I'm not going to be able to break through with my foot or my shoulder. This is a box I'm in. I've been getting into and out of boxes all my life. I say box way too much. Even the idea of a box has become a kind of box for me, a barrier against trying to find another word for it, another device. This room I am in was made by my father, is a construct of a life he imagined. He built it with willpower, with the potential energy of 40 years of frustration. This place, in here, is nothing but a frame of abstraction surrounding empty space and the sublimated intentions of my father. But when he got here, he realized he wanted out. Is that why I'm here now? Did he want to show me this? Is that why I'm in the time loop? Is he asking me to come find him? And as I'm thinking this, ramming my shoulder into the door, it just flies open. And I fly through it, out into nothingness. And then I'm falling and screaming and crying a little bit, but mostly just screaming and falling and falling and falling. Now where am I? You're in the interstitial matrix that fills up the space between stories. Who said that? You did. I did? Wait, who am I? You're you. Oh, good. Thanks. Seriously, where are we? We're in a shuttle. I'm taking you back to where you were in story space. This isn't the TM-31. I'm in some other kind of vehicle, larger, more room and air and light. The interior's clean, all white and black ceramic, like Apple designed a spaceship. We're on the bus? A space bus? More like a space elevator. It's called the Bomb and Transfer System. A vast network of elevators going in all different directions in 10-dimensional space-time. Some are main lines, some are branches, some are endpoints. Like a brain. I guess so. Or a bus. If you insist. There's a soft atmospheric music playing, but otherwise it's quiet. The air conditioning feels nice. I press my face, still flushed from the heat of the temple, against the cold surface of the window. Hello, whoever you are? Still here. You're Retcon, right? This is the Retcon shuttle. You got it. Can you pick up Ed for me? Sure. Who's Ed? My dog. I don't have any record of a dog. Technically, he didn't exist. You had a Retcon dog for a pet? Yeah. The driver hits a button on his pants. He says, "Someone get the dog." Yeah, I guess we forgot. Hold on, let me check. What does your dog look like? Kind of a mutt. Brown. Face like mushy oatmeal. He relays the description into his crotch. About 10 seconds later, the shuttle stops, the door opens, Ed trots in, flops down next to me. I say thanks to the driver. Give Ed a few hard scruffs to his furry neck. So why am I being retconned? Did I die? No, you just got somewhere you weren't supposed to go. My own future? My empty future? Sure. What does that mean? That I have no future? That I'm dead? That's not really for me to answer. That is annoyingly cryptic. Thank you, I try. We're zipping along through some kind of color space, hurtling through a galactic-scale elevator shaft. Up and down and all around are other elevator shafts, and snaking all around the bomb and matrix are long tubes of blue and green and red, tendrils and vectors shooting in every direction. Out my window, I can see the edges of stories as we pass by. Some of them, the space operas, are grand circuses of light. Others are smaller systems, lonesome clusters, dim and muted and private little stories. I had no idea Universe 31 was so big. Bigger than I'd imagined. Don't blame yourself. For what?
for whatever is making you look so guilt-ridden right now. Who else can I blame? The guy who gave you the book. That was myself, my future self. No, it wasn't. I saw him. He looked exactly like me. You think what makes you you is what you look like? No. Yes. Some guy hands you a book and says this is going to be your story, and you stick to it. You don't know what he's up to or even who he is, and you just do what he says just because he looks like you? Listen to me. Think about what he asked you to do. Stick to the story. And what does the story do? Makes me skip ahead. You're a paradox. I'm a paradox. Your life is one big paradox. It makes no sense. Right. Take a guess who I am. Me. That's correct. You don't look anything like me. Again, with the physical universe stuff, what exactly do you think you are? What exactly do you think this place is? You want to tell a story? Grow a heart. Grow two. Now, with the second heart, smash the first one into bits. Gross, right? A bloody, pulpy liquid mess. Look at it. Try to make sense of it. And realize you can't. Because there is no sense. Ask your computer to print out a list of every lie you have ever told. Ask yourself how much of the universe you have ever really seen. Look in the mirror. Are you sure you're you? Are you sure you didn't slip out of yourself in the middle of the night and someone else slipped into you, without you or any of you even noticing? Then he hits a button and the entire back wall and every seat behind me in the shuttle blows apart and falls away, leaving me sitting on the rear edge of an exposed relativistic elevator rocketing along the track at like 1/4 the speed of light. The heel of my shoe is about an inch from being ground into pure energy, and I realize how good the insulation of the shuttlecraft was, and how noisy the real world is outside. How noisy friction is, and damage, how it sounds like the cosmic music of the spheres out here, but also like all of creation is one active construction site. Either construction or demolition or both. And the noise is almost unbearable and the driver isn't shouting, he's still talking pretty softly. And I can hear it in my head like it's a voiceover. The driver grabs me by the neck. Not in a menacing way, just kind of firm. Like I'm a child, a baby whose neck he has to support. I don't get a great look at his face, but I realize he sort of resembles me, just tougher, with a bit more facial hair. Like if I'd had to actually work all my life driving a shuttle bus instead of in a climate-controlled desk job in IT support. He grips my head, pushing it forward, forcing me to look at the outside world. Now listen to me. Don't you want to find your father? I managed to squeak out an answer. Yes. Then what is the problem? I don't know. It's your story, numbnuts. You think this story belongs to me? Who else would it belong to? Are you the author of How to Live Safely in a Science-Fictional Universe? Own up to it. But that isn't me. That's my future self. That's my future self. That's my future self. Listen to you. You sound like an idiot. Who do you think you are? Imagine there's a version of you that sees all of it. A version that knows when versions are messing with the other ones, trying to get things off track, trying to erase things. A record of all the keystrokes, the storage of all the versions, partial and deleted and written over. All the changes. All truths about all parts of ourself. We break ourselves up into parts, to lie to ourselves, to hide things from ourselves. You are not you. You are not what you think you are. You're bigger than you think, more complicated than you think. You're the only version of you that is you. There are less of you than you think, and more. There are 1,000,000 versions of you, 500 billion. One for every particle, every quantum coin flip. Imagine this uncountable number of yous, You don't always have your own best interests at heart. That's true. You are your own best friend and your own worst enemy. You can't trust a guy who gives you a book and says, "This is your life." He might have been your future, he might not. Only you know how you get there. Only you know what you need to do. Imagine there's a perfect version of you. Out of all the oceans of you, there's exactly one who's perfectly you. And that's me. And I'm telling you, you are the only you. Does that make any sense? Not really. Then he hits another button and my seatbelt whips off and my chair breaks down, and it's just as I'm about to be tossed out of the shuttle, I grab on to the back of the seat in front of me with both hands and just cling for my life. Also, your operating system? You should be nicer to her. You love her, right? But you're just kind of mean to her. You should tell her. You should tell her while you have the chance. Now get back to your life and quit being such a whiny little wuss. Be a man. Find your father. Tell him you love him, then let him go. Then go find your mom and eat her food and tell her it's good. Then go and marry that girl you never married. What's her name? Marie. She doesn't exist. Neither does your dog. And you love him, right? Anything is possible in this kind of world, you idiot. Go marry Marie and have a life. And grow a heart. And a pair. He gets out of his driver's seat and walks back to my seat and stands in front of me. He slaps me on the face hard. And then he slaps me on the other side of the face. Then he shakes me like I'm a baby. Then he kisses me hard on the mouth, which, well, is one of the more disturbing experiences I have ever had. Not incest exactly, because I don't know that he actually is related to me. It's just this weird feeling I have. And although the kiss is not by any means pleasant, it's also not entirely unpleasant. Sort of like when you're a kid and you try to practice on yourself. And for a second you realize, hey, I have breath. And I can smell my own breath, and it's not great. And I'm a hot-breathed, mouth-breathing teenager just like all the other hot-breathed, mouth-breathing teenagers. And then he says, "I love you. I'm doing this for your own good." And he slaps me one more time for good measure, and he hits a button that opens the shuttle door and shoves me hard out of the shuttle, falling, seemingly without end, and I'm wondering if it's going to be stories all the way down. Just stories and stories. Outside. Outside the shuttle. Outside of my TM-31. No tense operator, no grammar drive, no device around me. Out here. Out here, another free body, another part of the broken down universe. In a moment, I will be falling. In a moment, I will be falling again. But from here, outside, between moments, the TM-31 looks like a phone booth. Looks like a shower stall. Looks like a cage. From here, I can see what 10 years looks like. What a lifetime looks like spent inside that contraption. My personal mode of propulsion. I can see how I'm always in perpetual motion through time. How I can never stop. Obsessed with the past, projecting myself into the future, clutching at and always failing to grasp the wisp of now. For a moment, a non-moment, I can rest. I can clear my head of the noise of existence. From up here, an inch above the time axis, I can look down and see it all laid out. I can just almost start to hear, just start to make out the original sound, the background voice. Just start to remember that there was something I've been trying to remember for my entire life. And just when I almost feel like it's starting to come back, just when I've almost got my mind wrapped around it, it's slipping away. It's ending even as it starts. And I know I can't stay in this space here. The next moment will be coming soon. It's here now, and just like that, the memory of the memory of the memory of the sound is gone. And then I'm falling again, Ed is falling right next to me, and we're about smack right on top of my TM-31. I may have broken my sternum. Ow. Managed to pop the hatch, climb back in. Tammy. Ed. But then I see it. A corridor of memory. A series of boxes. An endless hallway. A moving diorama with no ceiling, no fourth wall. It's the father-son axis. If I focus on any one point on the line, I can see the memory clearly. If I relax and look at it as a whole, it's like a general impression of emotion and color and smells and sounds. We're approaching low, at just the right angle, and I slide into the axis, touching down right in the middle of a memory.